Okay, so here we go with another dream.
But at the same
Let's see what you think this means. This. I know what it means, um, but I just want to see what you think this would mean. I will not tell you what I think they mean. What they think. Well, I know what they mean because I asked Abba for the discernment of Joseph of dreams. So I know what it is. I know what it means. Just like the last one, I know what it means. But I want to see what you see. All right, let's find out.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for hanging out with us for an hour or so. I want to thank my good friend Cherie Goff for being a part of this with me and praying over the dreams. As you know, when I have a dream, I send to her as well. I pray, she prays. I've got some men in my church that pray for me, other folks that are praying. We don't do this. We're not asking for offerings or money. We're sharing these dreams because I believe God's trying to wake the church up. And I'm going to be very, very upfront with this one. This one has been one of the heaviest dreams that I've ever had in the last 2 years. You know, it was 2 years ago this month, June 24th of 2020, that I shared the first dream. And it doesn't seem like it's been that long. Things have happened. Things have gone on. But what I want to say is this. This one's heavy. This has been heavy on my heart, and it's been heavy on Cherie's heart. And the reason we share the dreams are to wake people up. If you saw my From the Perch yesterday, you know that it was like a prelude to what I'm going to share today. If you have not, I don't say, hey, go watch this, hey, share this. I really encourage you to watch the From the Perch yesterday. I talked about narcissism, both in the world and the church. It was in the book of Habakkuk. And in the book of Habakkuk, God really basically says to Habakkuk, the righteous will live by faith. And I believe that we're in that time frame right here, right now. And you'll see from what the man spoke to me, I believe, which is Jesus and the Holy Spirit, that there's not a whole lot of time left before he comes and not a whole lot of time left to work. So I'm calling this the millstone dream. You'll find out why. I'm going to go ahead and share it. I'll stop a few times to make a couple comments about what I was seeing, and then let Cherie do the interpretation. I dreamt that I was standing in an open field and looking west in broad daylight and the sun at high noon. And there was a compass in my right palm that was facing up and pointed west, and that's how I knew what direction I was facing. And there was a silver-colored straight metal rod or staff in my left hand. It was touching the ground, and it went at least a foot above my head. I'm about 5'6.5", so it was up to about 6.5 feet, 7 feet tall in my left hand. And so in my right hand, I got the compass looking up, pointing west, and the staff that's in my left hand. I was watching what appeared to be a large stone in the middle of the air. It seemed to be at a very high altitude, and it seemed bigger than it should. It was like looking at the moon when it's way too close to the earth, or it seems really, really big. But this stone was huge and out of place, did not look like it belonged there. And it was almost like a square. And there was a large round hole drilled near the top of it. This thing was thick. It was miles and probably hundreds of miles wide. In my mind, I thought maybe I'm seeing the walls of the city mentioned in the New Jerusalem and in Revelation. But it was huge, had the large hole drilled through it. And what appeared to be a streamer, it looked like a streamer like you see a tail on a kite, or something like that it was tied through the stone. It was very blurry. I began walking west through a very, very vast, empty field that seemed as if a combine had just gone through. So everything had been harvested. I was seeing I'm a Hoosier. I'm from Indiana. So after the combines would go through, you'd see those bottom stalks of corn about maybe up 8 inches to a foot tall where they'd been harvested. It looked like that. The grass in most places was green and healthy, but where it had been cut, it was browning, and it started to look dead. And the stone suddenly began to descend, but did not have a fiery entry. Like if you see when the space shuttle came or rockets came in, you see that fiery entry. There was no fire on this at all. There was no wave disruptions in the sky, so to speak. Nor was there any sound. So no fire in the atmosphere, no entry point. There was no sound except the whipping of what appeared to be now a rope. I could see now this was a huge rope, probably hundreds of feet wide, that had gone through this big stone. It made a sound like plastic that was not secured around cargo in a truck going down the highway. There's a Tyson chicken factory about 12 miles from where I live, and so every day I see trucks go by full of chickens with a plastic wrap, and when they're going fast, you hear that plastic. That's what it sounded like. And now the stone was falling very quickly, and I could actually feel wind coming off of it. And then you began to realize that it was like that whoosh sound coming. And it was then that I realized I was as far west as I could be. I was literally standing in California, looking off of the shore into the shoreline of the Pacific Ocean. And I saw a sign that said Pacific Ocean, so that's how I knew where I was. I then realized that the stone seemed to be about the size of Texas, and it was shadowing over the entire western half of the United States. As it fell, I could hear the whipping of the rope behind it, and I could also see it was trailing all the way back to the line of the black outer space way up in the sky. And the rope appeared to be miles and miles wide. It was impossible to tell how wide it was. Then this stone hit in the middle of the ocean, but there was no violent tsunami-like blast. There was nothing crazy. It hit as hard as it could, but it just began to sink, wobble kind of slowly into the water, and then it began to sink. Now, at this point, the broad daylight that I was seeing faded over the next few minutes of the dream, and I saw the rope falling from the sky, and it formed like a circle around the United States of America. Mexico and Canada were not in the mix of what I saw. I saw the rope as the stone's going down. There's still rope coming out of the ocean, still rope in the sky, and it makes its way like a circle around America. And as the stone sank, the rope tightened around the shores of the country until the Midwest appeared to be having a choking face and was having trouble breathing. It was like I saw a face going like it couldn't breathe. There were no arms or hands. I just saw the face restricted, trying to breathe. And I could hear a heartbeat. This was a very, very loud heartbeat it was not steady. It was choppy. It was violent. There was definitely some type of arrhythmia going on. And then I heard the millstone hit the bottom of the ocean. I could hear it. It was like a sonar dull thud, but I knew it hit the bottom of the ocean. And at that point, the Midwest took a deep breath. That face that I saw took a deep breath as the noose around the nation loosened slightly. There was a smile and a look of relief on that face in the Midwest. Then I saw the man's face that I see so often. It was superimposed over. It suddenly went from just a face of someone, just a face that was having trouble breathing, to the face of the man. He took a deep breath and then he spoke these words. This is for the slaughter of and the hands that shed innocent blood. I then saw the stone sitting on the ocean floor, and I saw this hand, this big, huge hand that rushed down through the water, grabbed that stone, which I'm going to call a millstone, and it pushed that rock through the mantle violently. That rope tightened real quickly around the nation's throat. I saw violent earthquakes. I saw smoke rolling up as that last breath was taken. I saw the eyes kind of get bigger. You could tell this thing was being choked. But what got my attention was the speed in which the nation seemed to die. I watched it. This violent hand pushes that rock through the mantle, and it just, like a zip line, just real quick, and that was it. Then I saw a horse, a white horse, and a rider on it dressed in gleaming white, and it was the man. He pointed with his right hand to the destruction, and he said, I keep my word, and I will be faithful to keep my word as it regards the blessing and the curse. There is not much time to work, and those that know this deeply. Get busy, stay busy, and know that I am coming back very soon. And the horse and rider were gone in a flash, and I was standing back in that field where I started, right there in the middle of the nation. I noticed that the season had changed, and the crops were now ready, and the fields were absolutely ripe. But only a few people were in the field working. I was overcome with emotion and despair because I could realize there's not enough people to do what needs to be done. And then I saw large groups of people coming from every direction, north, south, east, and west. And they were coming with large bags over their shoulders and the old-fashioned sickles like my grandpa used to use to take wheat out of the field. And I saw the shadows begin to shade the fields, but the sun was still up, but it was obviously going down. And the workers were now running at full speed. with those bags over their shoulders and those sickles, those skids in their hands. They were running full speed. At this point, I woke up. But then a few nights later, I had a flash dream. That's what I'm just going to call it, a flash dream. And the man stood before me and stated very quickly, and this is what got me ready for the from the perch yesterday, which I shared. The man said, "It's too late to start." And he emphasized start. He said, "It's too late to start bracing. And the braced are about to be tested harshly. So lock in place." He emphasized start bracing, start, and then he emphasized lock in place. So I believe that God's trying to get us ready for those suddenly moments that are coming, folks. And as I've said, this dream has had a feel, a weight to it. I woke up every night since having it throughout the days. I'm thinking about it, going back through other dreams and looking. But this dream is heavy, I believe, because God's trying to speak to the church and get us ready. So, Cherie, go right ahead.